Hi, my name is Elizabeth Green, and my presentation today is on deforestation. My proposed resolution to fight deforestation is as follows. The United States Food Safety and Inspection Service and the United States Department of Agriculture will enter a zero deforestation agreement, boycotting any beef raised on lands deforested after 2015. I'll be starting my presentation with a brief history on deforestation. Since the turn of the millennium, the world has been losing around 5 million hectares of forest every year. That's like losing an area the size of Portugal every 2 years. Note that roughly 95% of this occurs in the tropics, with almost half of all deforestation taking place in Brazil and Indonesia. This uneven deforestation can be visualized in the accompanying figure from our world in data, with Brazil's outputs greatly outweighing any other region in the world. 3/4 of this deforestation worldwide is driven by agriculture. Most of this comes from the production of beef, palm oil, soy, and logging industries. In this presentation, we will be focusing on beef production specifically and how it affects deforestation. The expansion of pasture lands to raise cattle was responsible for 41% of tropical deforestation. This results in 2.1 million hectares per year. Most of this land converted came from Brazil. Brazil's expansion of beef production accounts for 1/4 of tropical deforestation. In addition, 72% of deforestation in Brazil is driven by cattle ranching. Taking a look at this graph from our world in data, we can visualize the massive impact the Brazilian beef production has on deforestation compared to other countries and other agricultural areas. Overall, the European Union, China, and the United States purchased the vast majority of beef produced in deforested lands, including those from Brazil, making these areas the best place to take action. We're going to begin today with the con arguments for the resolution. Recently, there has been increased interest in the sustainable intensification of cattle production, both on the ground and at the farm scale, and also in terms of creating public policy that encourages sustainable livestock production, particularly in the tropics. Sustainable intensification is based on the actual output or yield per unit land area, and also ecosystem services, which means increasing environmental benefit per unit land area. Simply put, the goal is to use the land we have more efficiently. This has nothing to do with lowering the consumption of agricultural products, and quite the contrary, it suggests that we will need to produce and consume more in the years to come as the populations grow. Therefore, it has been argued that some plans that are already being put into place would be more effective than limiting the consumption of beef. Plans such as the National Sustainable Cattle Plan, which has been employed in Colombia. This plan disaggregates the diverse cattle sector and targets particular policies to specific regions and groups to foster ecosystem services, including carbon storage, increased productivity, and restoring degraded lands. Another important item to consider is beef production's effect on the economy. In a study published by the Journal of Agricultural Economics, the researchers analyzed the willingness to pay for different combinations of 3 attributes. In this study, Lancaster's theory of consumer choice, according to which consumers derive utility from a good's attributes and not from the good itself, was the basis for the study. The 3 attributes analyzed were animal welfare, environment, and food safety. In the studied countries, of which the United States was included, food safety was weighted the highest, with animal welfare being a far second and environmental protection being last. These are the standards upholding the American beef economy. In 2020, Americans consumed 27.6 billion pounds of beef at an average of $6.39 per pound. This is an enormous contribution to not only the U.S. economy, but also to countries such as Brazil. In 2020, the U.S. purchased roughly $216 billion worth of beef from Brazil. Beef sales are undoubtedly important to both the U.S. and global economy. The last argument to consider against the resolution is lifestyle. Many developed countries are accustomed to a certain lifestyle. The United States is no exception to these lifestyle standards. As discussed in the previous slide, consumers placed their concern for the environment lowest when it came to the purchasing of beef and other livestock. A drastic change such as the one proposed would certainly change the availability of beef nationwide. It will be difficult to convince a country to make these changes for the environment when the consumer concern for it is statistically low. In addition, prices are a large concern for Americans. Just take the public outroar that has been caused by the increase in gas prices over the last few months as an example. A large mindset and priority change must take place in order to execute such a plan. The first argument that we're going to look at in favor of the resolution is the sustainability of deforestation. In the background information, we spoke of the large amounts of deforestation that occur, specifically for beef production. These large amounts of deforestation are having an undeniable effect on the environment and climate change. Trees and forests are our best atmosphere cleaners, and due to the key role they play in the terrestrial ecosystem, it is highly unlikely to imagine the survival of many species, including ours, on Earth without them. Between the years 2000 and 2012, 2.3 million square kilometers of forest around the world were cut down. At this rate, all the forest would disappear approximately in 100 to 200 years. We are already experiencing the effects of deforestation. It is unrealistic to believe we won't have an issue until the last tree is gone. In an intensive study conducted by Mauro Bologna and Gerardo Aquino, they counted the number of trajectories to reach the Dyson limit before the population level reaches the no-return point, after which rapid collapse occurs. The Dyson is a limit. In order to be able to spread through the solar system, a civilization must be capable to build a Dyson sphere. That is, a maximal technological exploration of most of the energy from its local star. In their study, they found the average time to the no-return point on Earth ranges from 20 to 40 years, largely due to deforestation at its current rate. In a study exploring Norman Maier's concept of the hamburger connection as a form of ecological unequal exchange, where more developed nations are able to transfer the environmental costs of beef consumption to less developed nations, Norman Maier coined the phrase the hamburger connection in the early 1980s to argue that tropical deforestation, the largest contributor to global deforestation, was due to North American demand for artificially cheap beef. Although Maier made his claim nearly 30 years ago, a report issued by the Center for Internal Forestry Research in 2004 showed that Brazil's growing success as an exporter of beef may be the single greatest cause of current forest loss. Other studies also link expansion of beef export enterprises to increase in deforestation in Honduras, Peru, Costa Rica, Ecuador, El Salvador, Bolivia, and a variety of other nations. This all comes back to the fact that more developed countries, such as the United States, have a large demand for beef, and other countries and forests are suffering the consequences. Lastly, there are a wide variety of environmental factors that can benefit from a decrease in deforestation. As we discussed largely in class, cattle are the largest producers of CO2 emissions from livestock, contributing to climate change. A decrease in deforestation due to beef farming could also lower CO2 emissions. Large amounts of deforestation also give rise to flooding and soil erosion. Another major loss due to deforestation is the loss of animal habitats. Since the start of the century, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature has declared 665 species either completely extinct or extinct in the wild. In the last 20 years, the clouded leopard, the Spix macaw, the Mount Glorious torrent frog, and the cryptic tree hunter have all gone extinct due to deforestation, and many other species are on the same path. In conclusion, there are many factors for both sides of the proposed resolution. To restate the argument, the United States Food Safety and Inspection Service and the United States Department of Agriculture will enter a zero deforestation agreement, boycotting any beef raised on lands deforested after 2015. But overall, whether it is the implementation of these regulations or another, something must be done to decrease deforestation across the globe and in our country. Thank you for listening. I would be happy to answer any questions you have to the best of my abilities.